I am super excited how we're starting today's show because I think this is an issue that absolutely is front and center on all Browns fans' minds. Obviously, we know what the season's going to be. It's going to be Jacoby Brissett, barring injury, for 11 games or barring poor performance. And then for the 12th game of the season, we'll get, finally, Deshaun Watson back. He'll play out the rest of the year, provided he's healthy. So we live in the hypothetical world. That's a lot of what we do when we don't have games to talk about, and we don't. So we'll do the hypothetical discussion. Here's the hypothetical. You can go to war with what you know we have. Jacoby for 11, Watson for 6. Or you can take Baker Mayfield for all 17. Bull, where are you going?
And it's just for this year, by the way.
Just for this year,
Next year you have
Next
Watson
year you
either
still
way.
have Watson for the whole season.
Okay, to me it's easy. I'm going Brissett for 11 and Watson for 6. Who would have guessed that, right?
Really?
Now, you could say, well, does that make sense? Because the first 11 games you have a worse quarterback. And that is true. Baker Mayfield is better than Jacoby Brissett. But ultimately, I'm saying, yes, okay, with Baker, I have a better chance to have a slightly better record in the first 11 games. But the bottom line to me every season is, can I win a Super Bowl? That's all that matters. I don't care if I go 9-8 or 8-7, or can I make the playoffs, and can I win the Super Bowl? I believe you cannot win the Super Bowl with Baker Mayfield, and I think you can with Deshaun Watson. Now, it's tricky because he is not going to play for 2 years by the time he comes back, and who knows how rusty he will be. And he may be rusty enough that he can't get him over the top at the end of this season.
Right. Or they may be in a position where it's too late.
It's too late.
He's Superman. He can't turn back time.
But ultimately, if I get to the playoffs, and I think, yeah, you have a better chance for more wins in those 11 games with Baker, but I think you have a better chance with more wins in the last 6 games with Watson. So overall, I think it evens itself out. But once I get to the playoffs, I got a Super Bowl caliber quarterback. I believe Baker's not. So I'd go with that combination.
Mike.
Okay.
You have notes.
First of all, it's Kent State plays Washington, Oklahoma, and Georgia within a month.
Oh, my God.
They'll have 8 scholarship players healthy.
Yeah.
Oh, hang in there, guys. Go Flashes. I'm going to use Bull's same logic to argue the other way.
Okay.
Because I agree. The ultimate goal should always be Super Bowl. I think the ultimate goal should be Super Bowl, but competitiveness too. I do want to see a product on the field. I want to see wins. I'd love to get to the playoffs. But I agree. The ultimate goal has to be the Super Bowl. And I think you can't get to the Super Bowl if you don't get to the playoffs. And I think Baker Mayfield, and anything can happen once you get to the playoffs. Everything can click right. But you can't get there. You can't get to that Super Bowl if you don't make it to the playoffs. And I have a hard time believing that this unproven. I think we're forgetting how unproven Jacoby Brissett really is sometimes, and we're just taking for granted that we haven't even seen him in a preseason game, and we're acting like it's a done deal that he's going to be a really competent quarterback when he gets out there, and I just don't know if that's true yet. I also know that you're going to be making a quarterback switch on a team towards the end of the 2/3 of the way through the season. I don't care how good he is, and we don't know, we won't know until a game or two in because he hasn't played in 2 years. But relying on him to come in and just suddenly be back to form out of no time, I think that is also logically flawed, just assuming that that's going to happen. So, by using your same logic, ultimate goal being the Super Bowl, I think to get to the Super Bowl, you have to make it to the playoffs, and I think your best chance is with a quarterback who's people aren't crazy about, but who's been there, who has gotten this team to the playoffs before when he was healthy and had a healthy shoulder, and who now has a better roster than he did when he did that. And so that's why we go with Baker.
All right. G. Bush.
I like the numbers aspect. I'll go a little different. I'll go with the people skills, right? So say, for instance, you got Baker Mayfield, got Jacoby Brissett. Obviously, I would take Baker Mayfield in terms of what he can do on the field throwing the football. I think he's been there before. And I think one thing that you can have with Baker is when you're really hot, Baker gets hot. You know, he's a guy that can really put some throws together. He can put games together. We've seen him do that. However, I would have reservations. The reservations go towards the locker room. There's people in the locker room, and I've heard personally from some people that it was untenable. You never would have got Jadeveon Clowney to come back if Baker was still on the team. There was people who didn't really per se like the way Baker led the team, his management skills in terms of what he was doing in the locker room. And that's a big part of, are you going to be able to be successful? Can you go to the playoffs? Can you do that? On the field, I think it's a closer debate, right? On the field, if I could just strip all of the other things that come along with Baker, I would be able to do that. However, I can't do that with Deshaun Watson either. I can't just strip him of all the outside stuff. Outside stuff counts too. So when you look at it from a totality of what your team is, I think that you can tread water. I think for 11 games, Baker will probably be a bit better. But in terms of what it does for the locker room, in terms of can we finish it off and do what we ultimately want to do, I don't think it would be possible. And I think people just like Deshaun Watson better in the locker room. I think they like Jacoby Brissett better in the locker room. And I think, to be honest, Andrew Berry likes those two guys more than they like Baker Mayfield. It's close on the field, but I would lean towards sticking with Brissett for 11 and Deshaun Watson for the last few games.
All right.
And Jay would go with Baker. All right, moving on.
No, I tell you, I thought a lot about this. This was not easy.
Really?
This was not easy.
It's not
for me.
easy. I agree.
It's a very, very close call. And there were things I talked myself into going the way it is. You know I'm an optimist, Mike. I have to believe in this because that's what I have.
I know.
So I'm trying to talk myself into this is it. This is the best way to go. And then I'm also hearing all of the cheers from 2020. Those happened.
Yeah.
I know people want to think they didn't happen. They happened.
Yep.
And I know to Bull's point, it's 1 year. That's more than we got with Jacoby.
One more quick point on that. You
Sure.
want to build a bond with your teammates, win some games. You
Well,
win some games,
that was exactly what I was going to address.
How quickly they like
That's
Baker.
exactly what I was. When I remember after the 2020 season, and it was kind of when everybody was taking inventory. What did we just see? And that's why I'm so stunned that we're where we are today.
Right.
Just one season removed from that. It's stunning to me.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of other people who aren't Browns fans, who are just longtime observers of the team, that say the same thing.
Yeah.
They say it's one of the quickest devolutions of a team they've ever seen.
Think about it. It was 1 year, like 1 year ago today, people were raving and excited about Baker Mayfield
Absolutely.
and the
1 year
season.
ago, right now.
And I'll bet we could
Didn't
find.
we just see it with the Eagles and the Rams?
The window,
Right.
by the way, was on the way up. I mean,
Uh-huh.
it wasn't now. I think it's at the top right now.
Yeah.
I do, because they say the window is 3 to 4 years depending. I think we're probably just now at the top. But after this season, it's definitely on the way down. They've got contract problems left and right, all over the place. The one thing that pushes me into the devil you know versus the devil you don't, and this is, we don't know what we're going to get, is the fact that I remember too clearly Baker's play in 2020. I can't forget that. It happened. It was real. It wasn't a dream. It happened. Last year felt like a nightmare. That happened too. I know a lot of people want to say you can't use injury for excuse. Fact of the matter is, he was dinged. There's no question about it.
Yep.
In hearing from other quarterbacks that had the exact same injury, non-throwing shoulder, they've said, doesn't matter if it's your throwing shoulder or not. For anybody that can throw a football 70 miles an hour, and there are very few humans on the planet that can do that, the torque involved with your upper body and your non-throwing shoulder is incredible. It's painful. One quarterback said it might as well be your throwing shoulder because you're not going to make throws that you usually make.
Right.
So I can't erase that from history. But I will say, it was super close for me. It was super close for me. And the reason I ultimately, but I also want to say this, neither one of these are the best options. That's why I'm so glad we started with this question. The Browns had the best option in their hands. The best option in their hands was to keep Baker Mayfield. You're under contract. You're going to play football. That's the way it works. You're going to play football for this team for 11 games. And you know what? It's an audition. You want a contract for next year? You got a great group of players around you. This is a worst-case scenario for the Browns, and it's a worst-case scenario for Baker Mayfield. Because in his prove-it year, he's got unproven talent around him, minus Christian McCaffrey.
I actually think he's got good talent around him.
He doesn't. You would take the Panthers roster right now, minus quarterbacks, get them all, and take the Browns players instead of Carolina?
They got a decent offense.
They got a much better.
Listen, here's the question.
What?
Are you willing to
Jay,
now?
I'm
Bull,
going
let
to
me
answer
finish.
your question.
Okay.
I haven't studied the Panthers roster as deeply as I study the Browns
Knowing
roster.
how you know
but
it right
here's
now.
what I know. I didn't realize this because I wasn't paying attention to the Panthers last year. They finished number 2 in defense last year.
Defense is very good.
Okay.
So is the Browns.
Their wide receivers are good. Their number one wide receiver is as good as
You're
Amari
changing
Cooper.
your narrative a little bit. Because before, you had said before the Panthers were trash.
I was wrong.
Okay.
Now, here's what I don't know, and I think is trash about them, is probably their offensive line.
Yeah, that's the big question.
And
with Baker,
that's huge with Baker.
With Baker, it's big.
And
with
McCaffrey
another
will be there.
quarterback that was
McCaffrey will be
maybe
there
more
2 games.
mobile and bigger.
2 games McCaffrey will play.
And
he'll be injured.
McCaffrey,
And that's the
and
big
McCaffrey
issue.
is not reliable injury-wise.
Right. So here's the question,
However,
Mo. Would you trade the Browns? Just trade.
Right.
We'll take the Panthers. You take our guys. Would you do that?
I would not.
Okay.
However,
So that's
it's
my
not as
point.
big a gap as I thought a few months
It's
ago.
a big. The gap is big. You're right. I don't know what is it. I don't know. I don't know what it is. But it's a discernible gap. I don't think you're going to find anybody in football that would say, "Give me Carolina's team."
Right,
I mean, when you look at the experts of
there's
what they're
a lot of
predicting,
people
even
that
with
think
a bad
Carolina's an up-and-coming team.
Sure,
with
they
their
are,
roster.
and they are an up-and-coming team.
But-
and you know
but-
what? I said yesterday on the show that they're right now the number one team. The Vegas does a bet every year, worst to first, and that's all the teams that finished last year. Which one of them has the best chance to finish first this year? They're running away with that.
Right,
Doesn't
and
mean they're going to do
the
it.
conference
Well,
is
they have no
garbage.
chance of doing it.
No.
But
Well-
why would anybody pick them to finish first? Tom Brady's in the division.
A lot of folks are doing it. Well, no, all those teams
Yeah.
that finished last, with the exception of the Ravens, I think the Ravens have the best chance. I would bet the
Definitely.
Ravens, and I wouldn't even think twice about it.
Yeah, right.
Because I know what the Ravens are. But you know how the media and some fans, and particularly bettors, get caught up in storylines? This storyline is one of the biggest we've seen in a very long time.
Yeah.
But the
And
Panthers
people
do
love
have
that
good
story.
receivers.
They have
And
some
if
talent.
McCaffrey's healthy,
They have some
he's
talent.
great.
but
Which he
here's
will be
what
the
I'm
first
saying.
game.
Here's what I'm saying. Back to my original point.
Yeah.
The Browns had in their hands their best case scenario. And that best case scenario was also Baker Mayfield's best case scenario.
Well, here's the thing. You got to understand. Yes, Baker Mayfield has some sort of pool where, hey, this is the best case scenario. He can come back and he can do his thing. We can do our thing. But here's the reality. There's people in that locker room. They're like, no, we're not taking it.
Yeah, and Robbie Anderson also was like, no. And the second Baker Mayfield walked into the locker room, that's my boy right there.
But no. Robbie Anderson ain't Jadeveon Clowney. Robbie Anderson ain't some of these guys on defense.
If the Browns were to have lost Jadeveon Clowney, it's not like they lost Myles Garrett. Let's be clear.
I mean, you got to think about it. Oh, that's devastating. You lose Jadeveon Clowney, he's one of your best run defenders. So now you have below-level defensive tackles and no defensive end.
And by the way, it's convenient for a player to say after he's made his decision, I was only coming here because
I'm not
Deshaun
factoring
Watson.
that in.
Players chase the money.
I'm not factoring that in my call on this.
I didn't.
I'm factoring in the fact that there are, and I'm not even going to go on record and say what it is, but there's superstars who said, no, I don't want Baker Mayfield back here. That's a level.
The bottom line.
Well, publicly?
The bottom line.
No,
to
they're not
me,
going to say
guys,
that publicly.
Why not? He's gone.
Here's the thing. Here's the thing. Why would you come out and say that?
Because he's gone.
Nobody comes out and says that.
Oh, it's happened many times.
I mean, but for professionsionals?
Yeah, it's happened.
Who?
In the
That's
history of pro sports, nobody has ever
tacky.
said, I'm glad he's gone.
Well, not against a quarterback. No.
It's happened. It has. It's happened.
Why-
I don't have my Rolodex and of all sound bites here in front of me, but
I don't think
G.
it's
Bush,
that common.
Look, we're getting off track.
Yeah.
Yes.
Here's
You have a
the point.
Rolodex of sound bites?
It exists.
Rolodex.
It's on
All right.
Google.
I think the bottom line, guys, is Baker Mayfield's an average quarterback. Jacoby Brissett is a below-average quarterback. And Deshaun Watson is a great quarterback.
Absolutely.
In my opinion.
All three are true.
Okay?
All three
so
are true.
I ultimately would rather have a below-average quarterback who knows his
For 2/3
limitations
of the season.
for 11 games and a great quarterback for 6. Now, he might, to be fair, he might not be great when he first plays because he may be rusty. However, I'm willing to take a chance on
You know,
that.
you said
Rather than
something
an average
interesting.
quarterback who has no. ESPN just revealed, it was voted on by guys and coaches around the league, the top 10 quarterbacks in all these different categories.
Right.
Arm
I saw
strength.
that. I saw that.
Baker wasn't in the top 10 on any of them.
Doesn't need to be.
Not one.
And I'm okay with that.
Because he's not.
I didn't see Jacoby
Yeah.
Brissett in the top 10 either.
But he's not either. Nobody's
Right.
arguing that he is.
No, but
a lot
my
of
point is-
But my point is that a lot of Browns fans think he should be on these.
No, they don't. I don't know.
Absolutely.
If they do, they're delusional.
Absolutely.
If they do, they're delusional. I think Baker Mayfield has proven what he is, and here's how. Great year, awful year. Great year, awful year.
Yeah.
That's what he is. Average it out, he's in the middle. He's an average quarterback. However, you said something that was interesting to me because when I was going through the scenarios and I looked at the schedule, when I was doing this, I'm like, I tell you what, that schedule,
Pretty brutal.
it's not easy.
No.
I mean, no NFL schedule is
And Baker
easy.
has never beaten good teams.
No NFL schedule. Baker has never.
His record against good teams is extremely poor.
Baker has never beaten good NFL teams. That's provably false. But
You know what I'm saying, Jay.
But-
I'm exaggerating. Come on now.
I know you are.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to keep it real, and here's what I'm saying.
I am keeping it real. He has sucked against good teams. That's a fact.
Cincinnati
Overall.
was pretty good last year, weren't
That's
they?
scary.
Well, we can point to one or two games.
Oh, he's beaten one or two good teams.
His record against good teams is terrible.
Okay, he beat
That's
a
fact.
Pittsburgh team in the playoffs. They must have been pretty good.
Jay, I can give you 12 examples of when he's lost to good
and
teams.
there's
You know
probably
that.
12 examples
No,
where
there
he's
isn't.
beaten good teams.
No, there isn't.
You're going to tell me he
his
didn't
record
beat 12
against good teams is terrible.
I can't talk to you because you have forgotten the past.
No, I'm stating a fact and you're
remember
ignoring it.
All of the bad.
His
your
rec-
fact that you say you're stating
His record against good teams is terrible.
What is it?
I don't know it off the top of my head. I know
okay.
I've looked it up a million
I don't
times.
either.
Someone
And it's
online
bad.
tell us what his record
It's
is.
ridiculous.
So, here's
he
what we have
never
to get
comes
to.
through when it matters in the
Bull.
clutch. Never.
You use
Never.
words like always and never, and that's dangerous because it
Absolutely.
It's called
automatically-
exaggeration.
But it sinks your argument.
No, it doesn't.
Yes, it does, because
you
it's
know what I
wrong.
mean when I'm saying
well,
it.
when you're making points that are wrong, it sinks your argument.
In
No,
Phantom
it doesn't.
Menace, they said only a Sith speaks in absolutes.
You're absolutely
Just something
right.
to think about, you guys. Just so you guys
No,
know.
you're right.
Baker
But
Mayfield has a terrible record
here's a
against
point.
winning teams.
You actually
That's a
made
fact.
my point in something you said earlier, and I'll go back to it. I was going through it, and I said, yeah, I think I did best case and worst case for each guy. And there was very little difference. There was 2 games difference in Baker's best case. There was 1 game difference in the both of their worst case. I had a friend tell me yesterday, whose opinion I trust, tell me emphatically the Browns are going 3-8. That they're going to be 3-8 when Deshaun Watson comes back on
Right.
the field. First of all, it's unknowable. It's an opinion.
It is.
And that's all it is.
That's crazy.
But I
no one
will
can
say
be right
this.
about that.
I will say
unless
this.
they're a time lord.
That's ludicrous.
What he asked me was,
That's crazy.
is that a possibility? And I said, sure, it's a possibility. It's also a possibility they'll go 8-3. This is the NFL.
And then someone tweeted, Jay Crawford claims Browns will go 3-8.
Yeah, that's why I'm glad that I don't live in that world either.
Right.
But here's what I'll say, and Bull did make my point. Bull said it could be close. Could Baker be worth a game or two? Yeah, he could. When we do these scenarios out, a game or two is the difference between
Everything.
whether or not we get to the playoffs.
In this division?
Right.
Let me see. For me, I don't put it in a realm of whether you're hurt or not. Baker's decision-making process on the field is what gets him. If you go back to 18,
But if you're hurt, that plays into it.
yes, that does. That plays some.
He didn't have the brain to tell him that he was hurt.
But here's the
Thought
thing.
he wasn't
Here's
hurt.
the thing. But injuries have nothing to do with you throwing into double coverage. Injuries have nothing to do with you misreading defenses. There's times where Baker Mayfield gets in his mind that, I'm going to gunsling, I'm going to do this, and he does not understand what the moment is. He was throwing interceptions. This is the thing you can't get over. Since he was in the league, he's been the number 1 guy in the league in interceptions.
Second in interceptions.
Second.
First in turnovers.
First in turnovers.
He
First-
sucks.
That you can't.
He's unreliable when it comes to
You
turning the ball
you
over.
cannot do that. Like you just can't. Now you could get away with it. I would put Baker out there. Think about it like this: if Baker had the restraints that said, you know what, I ain't got it right now. I'm injured. I ain't trying to make no seam throws. I'm not throwing that ball right there because I really ain't got it. If he would protect the football, the answer would be Baker Mayfield. As a matter of fact, if he protected the football more, they might have not even went after Deshaun Watson.
Now, you know what? That's a great point. And another thing, like the main point I wanted to make here was the 2 choices that we're picking between aren't the best option.
Right.
The best option the Browns had in their hands, and they bungled that up. Okay.
Right.
So the best option would have been Baker Mayfield for 11, Deshaun Watson for 6. Who's not signing up for that right now?
Yeah.
Okay. But that ship sailed. I put, and you're exactly right, Baker Mayfield, in his mind, still thought, Brett Favre, I can make this throw, when he couldn't.
Right.
Here's what disappointed me most about last season. There were people in the organization that were watching the same crap we were watching.
And they didn't pull it.
Week in and week out and week in and week out, and they kept throwing him out there.
That's the crime.
Why?
I agree.
Jay, it's not
Why?
just about last
If
year.
Shane Bieber is hurt and his ERA goes up to 7,
Yeah.
who's that on?
How many of those?
It's not on Shane Bieber.
How many games?
Get him the hell out of there.
How
He's
many,
hurt.
How many games did he play hurt last year, do you think?
Well, I can tell you, 14.
14 games.
How many games did everybody else play hurt in the league? Everybody's
Well,
hurt.
he needed
Yeah, it's
surgery at
different.
week 2.
So
So
it's
did other
14.
guys.
Week two.
Listen, I know that you want to dismiss the injury, and you can't dismiss it completely, but you also...
I don't dismiss it completely.
You can't blame everything on it.
You're blaming everything
I'm
on
not.
it. Yes, you have,
I'm
and
blaming-
so have the Baker guys.
No, what I'm blaming
Yes.
is the Browns front office and their head coach for letting this nonsense continue.
I agree.
When we
You keep
watch
bringing up the one Bengals win. That's what you hang your hat on.
Yes.
Okay?
That
He'd
was
already
his
been
crowning
injured
moment.
by then.
He'd
already been injured.
And he still
So he
played
wasn't
great.
injured for that game?
He was,
All of a sudden
but-
he was miraculously fine?
Listen, no. But what I'm saying is for his entire body of work, that's just like Shane Bieber, a pitcher can be injured, can have a structural injury, either a torn rotator cuff or a labrum tear. He can go out and pitch. He's pitching in pain, no question. I know because I've done it. You can have great stuff and you can trick them. You know how that works in baseball. And so a lot of times that fools the front office into thinking he's not hurt. But the eye test tells you, when we've watched pitchers in the past, you're like, he's hurt.
Right.
I don't care what the front office says. This guy is hurt.
But in the NFL, guys play with injuries more than they do with baseball.
They do, but we're talking about an upper extremity injury to a thrower of the football. It's just like a lower body extremity for a runner
But
of
let's
the
look at
football.
the whole scope of 4 years. Again, number 1 in turnovers, number 2 in interceptions. He has a terrible completion
For
percentage.
every bad stat you give me, I'll give you something positive. that
It
he
really,
did.
I know we're not
Because
allowed
he
to do
played
this.
2
I know we're
years
not allowed to
and
do
he
this.
had 2 good ones
but
and
it
2
really
bad
would be
ones.
interesting to calculate. It would be interesting to calculate before you jump on it.
Yeah.
It would be interesting to calculate his statistics over his career without pre-injury compared to post-injury.
Even through the first 3 years, he was amongst the league leaders in turnovers.
Okay.
He had a terrible completion
Even with
percentage.
the injury, he had 17 touchdowns and 13
But I'm just saying
interceptions.
that
It wasn't like it was more picks than-
we're trying to look at Baker as two different quarterbacks, really, an injured one and a not injured one. That's
Yeah.
really what the argument is for us right now.
Right.
And so I think you have to separate that quarterback and say this is what he played like when he was.
I think we're getting off track.
Mike,
The
would you
injury
give
Were
doesn't
we
matter.
ever on track?
No, we weren't.
No.
No,
I got a question for you guys, and we're gonna put a
We
bow
need
on
the
this.
golf joke
Yeah.
book is what we
I
need.
We're gonna
forgot
put a
it
bow
again.
on this after this question. We're gonna move on to our next topic. We'll wait for Aditi. But we talk about which would you rather have.
Yeah.
Last week when the Deshaun Watson news came down, we all agreed 9-8 was our predicted record for the Browns with 11 games.
Wasn't
of
there
Brissett.
someone though that had? I was just talking about the first 11. Didn't somebody say 7-4?
I think Brad did, but overall we had.
That seemed to be the highest.
Yeah.
you're
but I'm
right.
saying
It was Brad.
overall, when we looked
Yeah.
at the full 17 games, we all kind of agreed 9-8 was their record.
Yeah, and 6-5 after 11.
Yes.
By
It
the
was
way,
first
Baker Mayfield 7-21 against teams under 500.
That's wonderful.
7-21
Let me finish the
and
question.
1-7
Hold on,
last
let me-
year. Like
let me
I
finish the
said,
question.
he sucks against good
Oh,
teams.
that's interesting. 1-7 last year. It was a
Yeah.
lot worse last year than it was for his first
Yeah,
three.
that 6-14 before that was very impressive.
The injury might have had something to do with that.
Guys, let me
6
finish
and
this
14,
question.
Jay. Before that sucks too.
It
Let's
does.
get
You're
to
right, it
Mikey's
does.
question. Here we
What's
go.
Brissett's? Give me Jacoby's.
So if 9-8
I'm not
was our-
arguing Jacoby's good.
And I'll tell you that Deshaun Watson had a 4-12 season.
I'll
and
tell
had
you,
great stats.
And I'll tell you,
Stats
Deshaun
can be
Watson went to the
misleading.
playoffs 2 out of 3 years.
Paul, you
Baker
got a
won
golf
1 out
How
of
many
4.
games did he
Get
win?
into.
Man, I was
In those
just
2
hanging out,
years, he
man.
won 20,
Deshaun
23,
Watson
24
in the playoffs.
games.
The amazement
See-
part.
See the point?
Hit a couple of
Go
roller
ahead, Mike.
coasters.
Go ahead.
Sorry.
Oh yeah, we can just talk about roller
Paul,
coasters.
yeah, get the golf joke book. Right.
I'll bring it back Thursday.
All right, so if 9-8 was the record with Watson for 6 games, Brissett for 11, what do you guys think 17 games with Baker with this team? What's the record this year? And then we're
9-8.
moving on.
That's
And then we're
a
moving on.
good. That's a good
10 and
question.
7?
That's a good question.
10 and 7?
Let me see.
I got 10-7. I already did this. I did it last night.
G. Bush will go around the horn that way.
Is he? He's
healthy.
He's completely healthy.
He's healthy.
How's his relationship? Are they happy right now?
I would go. I would. Yeah.
Okay. What's his? What's
What's he
his,
eating?
What's the ad
Any
campaign?
off-field
Right.
scandals yet?
I think 10 and 7 would be something. 10 and 7 probably. 10 and 7 right there.
Mike?
I'm gonna say 17 and no, I'd say probably 9-8. Frankly.
All right. Bull?
8-9.
Yeah, so
There you go.
you're consistent then. That's where yours is actually better with Baker than
Yeah.
you had with the combo.
The combo.
So I'm surprised that you went.
Well,
you went.
because here's the thing. There's something to be said. He can give you if you got continuity for 17 games. There's a couple games in there. If he's playing, he can get hot. You know, like there's a couple of anomalies he has every year.
Sure.
The Bengals.
Baker Mayfield is anomaly.
He
That's
has an
exactly
anomaly.
what he is.
And so he plays. And then some games he plays above that, it's just like, oh wow, this is it. And in some games, it's down there. So I think he's good, plus or minus 1 or 2.
One more last point on this that I think we probably are downplaying because of the Baker fury. But I think the assumption that he's just going to come back, Deshaun Watson's going to come back in a game in Houston and just be lights out.
It's all speculation.
Of course it is.
I mean, it's all speculation.
But that's what we're doing, right? That's
Yeah.
this is speculation.
You know
So
what the
part
beauty
of my
this argument is, though?
speculation,
The
Sure.
beauty
part
of
of
this
my
argument, guys, is that, and it's not going to answer really with definitive clarity this conversation.
Right.
But that's why it's so perfect that we get to see him in week 1.
Mm-hmm.
We get to see him. And listen, there is nobody in the world hoping they're wrong more than me.
yeah.
And by the way, I'm still picking the Browns to win that game right now.
I think the consensus that we have is, to me, I don't know. I don't think anybody's 100% sure the way Kevin Stefanski is going to utilize his quarterback. I don't know how he's going to use Jacoby Brissett.
But we know this, there's a constant, Kevin Stefanski.
Yes.
Same way he
that's
used Baker Mayfield.
That's the content.
He used Baker Mayfield when he shouldn't have used Baker
That's the
Mayfield.
constant.
And quite honestly, guys, I lost a lot of trust in this organization, in the front office and in Kevin Stefanski, when week after week after week, they kept rolling this dude out there.
Absolutely.
I'm just like, what am I
didn't
looking
understand
at
So
right
my
now?
thought process is,
Particularly when Case Keenum played well.
I can't judge. I don't know if he's going to do that same thing to Brissett. I don't know if he's going to utilize Watson correctly. To me,
Utilize Kareem Hunt correctly?
Well, here's
Yeah.
the thing.
It's a
They're going
question
to be
mark.
utilized, in all likelihood, the same way they've been utilized last year. So there's
That's
your
not
test
great.
case.
That's
Well,
not
they
great.
No,
should.
it's not
That's
great.
not good.
It's not good.
You'd think the coach
But
would
listen,
adjust.
it cannot become an excuse.
Right.
If the Browns come unraveled, it cannot be Kevin Stefanski now when it wasn't Kevin Stefanski last year.
Well, you
Can't
just
be.
blamed Kevin Stefanski for last year.
I did.
Yeah.
I'm saying it was.
Yeah.
But it can't be Kevin Stefanski
Well,
this
it's not
year
an
to
all
you.
or nothing, Jay. It's not an all or
I
nothing.
know, but if to you all the blame for last year went on Baker.
I didn't
Nah,
give all the blame to
I think
Baker.
he get about 30%. Stefanski get 30%.
I give
I
Stefanski
split
plenty
it.
of blame.
I split it, and here's why.
I'm not-
Baker's feet shouldn't have been on the field after week 3.
I'm
They
not.
just shouldn't have.
I didn't. The problem is that every time I talk about Baker, people are like, well, last year. I'm not just talking about last year.
You can't. You
There's
gotta talk
nothing
everything.
exceptional about
Right.
him as a quarterback.
No.
He's average over 4 years.
Agree.
He turns the ball over too much.
Agree.
And they had to get better. That's how I
McNuggets-
see it.
Agree.
I don't think he's terrible.
McNuggets, you know what you did when you put this at the top. You know you wasn't going to get in like you want to.
Yeah, he
Look,
had on the rundown
look,
until
look,
I didn't even get my
breakfast
breakfast
shape until 11:20.
11:20,
David Bell. We're going to
Baker?
break
Hey,
down
sometimes
David
you know
Bell.
what works,
What's the
we know
internet
what
say?
I
doesn't
would have
work,
had
but we
3
did-
beers before this if I knew that we were going to be getting into this stuff. It's like a Thanksgiving dinner out here.
We asked that same question to the internet, and we're going to get to the answers in a sec. But as always, when we ask the internet a question, it's brought to
Somebody
us
throw me another
Should've
water.
done a poll.
Anthony.
by
should've.
PCC Airfoils. Looking for a job with career advancement and great benefits?
It was a good
PCC
question,
Airfoils
though.
is a leading manufacturer in Northeast Ohio. All locations of PCC Airfoils in Eastlake, Mentor, Wickliffe, and Minerva are hiring for all positions starting at $18 and up, plus get a full benefit package, paid time off, and a signing bonus. Apply online at precast.com/careers to learn more.
PCC.
Nice.
Hey, at least we got one today. Yesterday,
nothing.
He was like in such a foul mood yesterday. He's like, I got nothing.
Yeah, I don't even know what happened
I won't
yesterday.
dance for you today.
Why was you mad yesterday? I forget.
I don't know.
You were angry. You were
I was?
foul.
Well, he
yesterday,
doesn't hold
yeah.
on to things.
He was mad that you guys didn't want to. You were willing to trade Kareem Hunt.
Oh, yeah, that's what it was.
That's what it was. That's
No,
what it
no,
was.
Don't bring it back.
No, listen. Here you go. Here you go. His hand is up. Stop.
Again, it's not about trading Kareem Hunt. It's that there's no wide receiver that we would want that is going to be traded for.
Like he's like, I
And
think he said.
everybody lives in La La Land and thinks some team's going to trade a really good receiver for
Here's
him.
the
It's not
thing.
going to happen.
He's like, I think he said something about your mom yesterday.
And-
Grenade into the room.
Jay obsessing over my he never wins a good game, parsing my words.
Wait till tomorrow.
Parsing. No, I used your words.
I know, but you know what I
Parsing-
meant. You know what I meant.
I don't.
Yes,
I will
you
tell
do.
you, I'm with Mike. I do take turn, and I learned this through a long life of. No, I'm not going to go there.
Look, see?
I'm not going to go there. You
See?
probably know where
See?
I'm going to go.
See?
When you spend a lot of your time with a woman, you damn well better check your words.
No.
And I learned that.
Yeah.
I
Yes.
speak in hyperbole sometimes.
I know, not sometimes. You tend
That's
to live
my
there,
thing.
and that's okay. And I do understand that,
And-
but I will pounce on it when you say
Fine.
always and never. Those
But
are
obviously
almost
he's
never
not
true.
never beaten a good team.
Right.
But as we've shown, he has not played well against good teams overall.
And I will definitely listen. I will give you that. The reason I went with him is because I gotta go
That's
with
fine.
Jacoby for 11.
I agree.
And I don't know where we
I
are going to be
agree.
when we get to 12.
I agree. It's a
I
good
will
debate.
tell you. I will tell
It
you
is
what,
a good debate. I agree. It's not
a
an
great
obvious
debate.
If you
decision.
love
It's a
these
loud
guys
debate.
going back and forth, you might want to subscribe.
ahead, Mike. Give
Hit
us
that
the-
notification
give us the
bell
Twitter read.
so you don't miss any of the Bull and Jay's argument,
Yes.
especially come week 1. We go right down to Carolina, and if you think this is crazy, let them lose
Wait
then.
until-
Wait till
Monday
then.
That's
is
going to
going
be the
to be
greatest show
epic.
that Monday.
And
One
here's
way,
the thing,
either way.
Here's the thing. Somebody asked me yesterday, are you actually going to root? I'm like, no, I'm not going to root. I'm not going to root against my team. I don't know how to do
You
that.
have to root for me to be crushing Baker on that Monday.
You're absolutely
You have to
right.
root for it.
And listen, I will come in with a bowl of crow, and I would gladly eat it uncooked.
Yes.
I would, feathers and all.
As much as we've argued, you want me to be right on
I
this
want
one.
you to be right so bad, Bull.
Can you imagine, though, if it's the other way
Oh,
No,
my God.
No, I
I'll
can't.
eat-
Listen, and here's the problem. I
Yeah.
won't be able to sit here and say I told you so.
Right.
I'll be so sick.
Yes.
Because again, I wanted this guy to be the quarterback for the first whatever games until we got Watson.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, that's what I wanted.
Yeah.
And I
Right.
was for it, and everybody killed me, and there were others that were for it. DeQuell, chief among them.
Brad has been.
Tim Couch.
Brad's
also,
been arguing for that too.
You're right. And you know what? I do dismiss the fact that I'm not going to dismiss the chemistry thing because someone once said in sports, "What's the most valuable component to a winning team?" And then the next question is, "Well, what sport?"
Right.
And then the right answer is all sports.
Well, Tom Hamilton just talked about it yesterday with the Guardians.
It is, and we saw it in that
Yes.
95 team. And with
Yes.
this team, it's chemistry. You can't buy it. You can't create it or
No.
Young
it
Cavs
happens
team. Look at our young
organically.
Cavs team.
Cavs
That's what
have
they're
it.
founded
That's right.
on
And,
right
and,
now.
and this team had no chemistry last year. Now, I think there was a myriad of reasons. The OBJ thing split the locker room.
It's crazy.
But that isn't going away.
No.
It still would have been in the room this year with Baker. And you try to factor that stuff in. You said something on our conference call early this morning where you said, can you take out of the equation
I just meant I was personally leaving out the players don't like Baker
Yeah,
stuff. I
and
was
you
leaving
really-
that.
and
It's
that's
hard
the
to
way-
do that. I
Right.
was taking that out of
and
the equation.
because you take that
Yeah.
out, that might have switched it the other way for me.
Yeah.
Because I'm telling you, when I started going through the games and looking at the defenses and Baker's strength and what I think is Jacoby's strength, I had somebody send me a Jacoby stat sheet yesterday that was terrifying. It scared the hell out of me. And I'm not even going
How
to
about
read
this
it.
main one that he's 28 and 32 career?
That was one of
That's
them, but
one.
the other one was the passing yards per attempt.
Yeah.
It's low.
Gentlemen, it's not low.
No, nobody's-
it might be the lowest I've ever seen.
But
for a
nobody's
guy.
arguing
Hey,
Jacoby's very good. Well, some of our fans are trying to argue
Well,
that
no,
now.
listen, you got to argue that he's tenable if you're going to get to the.
I think he can hold up. He won't turn it over,
Right.
and he can hand it off well.
Internet.
That's what-
and if we're going to be a run-driven team, no
We got to
question
get to
about
our
it.
internet responses here. We
By
tweeted
the
up
way-
a few minutes ago.
Internet.
10 seconds, Mikey. 10 seconds, I promise.
No one. Wait,
Nine,
before you go, no one
8.
responds to this 10
I'm
seconds.
shutting
No
up.
response. 10
Everyone shuts
seconds.
up.
It is funny, though, that we are going to react crazy to the first game when really one game itself doesn't prove anything.
No, it
but we
doesn't.
will treat it as if it means everything.
It's the Super Bowl.
Go ahead, Mikey.
Go ahead.
All right, so we did ask the internet the same question. Would you rather have?
Oh, did you
Brissett-
do it in a poll?
We did a poll. Yup.
Oh, good. I didn't see the poll. Okay,
On
good.
YouTube.
excited
we
about the
had
That's
poll.
why I
the
didn't see it.
answers.
That's why I didn't see it. And that'll make it official.
Yes.
We had close to 300 results. 76 chose Watson and Brissett combination over Baker.
That doesn't surprise me at all.
76%.
76%
Okay.
So
chose
3 out of
Watson
4
and
fans,
Brissett.
and that doesn't surprise me. For the same reason I wanted
many
to. It's
women
what we
voted?
have.
Right.
It's what we have.
Yes.
Yeah.
We cannot tell the demographic of the voters. We did
Some of
ask
our fans
Twitter-
are starting to overhype Brissett. I will give you that.
We did ask
We
Twitter
do
that
this.
question,
This is a
and we
Browns
got-
thing.
That's what
we're
we
like.
do.
He's just been waiting to get good until
Yes,
he got
right,
to this
exactly.
organization.
Half our fans
I
think
love
Josh
it.
Dobbs could be a
We're
starter
such
for half
idiots.
the teams. Go ahead.
Listen, the Josh Dobbs crowd
They're going
needs
nuts.
to take a back seat.
They're going nuts.
Yep.
Oh my God! I'm hearing from people. Why isn't he going to be the
I
starter?
know. There's
Right.
people are out of
Because
control.
he did it against guys that are selling insurance.
Mikey, give us what do you got?
We have 3 responses to the internet question. The last one I think is the most appropriate, but we'll
Okay.
start with the first one here. This is from Matt Mackin. He said, probably 17 with a completely healthy Baker. If the Watson suspension was 9 or less, it isn't even a question. Middle of the schedule is brutal no matter who
Well,
the
that's why it's a
quarterback
perfect
is.
question.
Yeah,
11
that's why.
games.
Because
of 11
honestly,
games.
I did that too. I said, what if the suspension was 8 or 9?
Oh, then it's
it was
easy.
easy.
Right, yeah.
It was easy for me. It's the 11 that I
Makes
couldn't
it
get
perfect.
over.
11 made the debate perfect.
It really did. Okay,
Here's the
number
second
2.
response. Another nice, relatively well thought out answer. This is from Dale. Dale says, we've seen where Baker can get us playing at his ceiling with a loaded roster and weapons. I'm ready to see something else, for better or worse.
That's and
What
you-
a ringing endorsement of Jacoby Brissett.
You're turning the page. You're turning the page from, okay, we've seen what a playoff win looks like, but that's not enough. And you know what? I'm glad that the fan base is there. I'm not.
At least that guy is.
I'm not. I think you steadily build to a Super Bowl in this league. You take steps. But I'm surprised at the number of fans that were ready to turn the page from something that they hadn't tasted in 30 years. I really am.
Yeah,
I was surprised by that.
They're a fickle bunch. They really are.
I know, but you know how these fans are.
Yeah.
When you've been kicked for 30 years in the teeth,
Right.
and then you beat your arch nemesis in the playoffs, and the fact that the shine of that only lasted 8 games into the next
This
season.
is a very old man thing to say.
Because people are being realistic about their ceiling with Baker. I think
But
that's
do you?
ultimately why they
But
did.
we didn't used to be realistic, is what he's saying.
It's
So
good
what
that people
changed?
are-
And is it younger
Right.
people who are less patient with this sort of thing? Do you think it's the younger fan base, the kids
Well,
these days?
I'm 57, and the reason I'm done with it is because I don't know how many seasons I'm going to watch as
But
a
I'm
fan.
saying, like, we Gen Xers, Boomers, we hang
Maybe.
on. Maybe we like hang on to these things more, whereas the younger generation is like, if it didn't work for me last year, get the hell out of
Well,
here.
that's
Try something
possible.
else.
That's possible.
I think the Baker Bros are generally 40 to 60-year-old white dudes. Pretty much, right?
The best demo, am I right?
Yeah, it is a solid
And we
demo.
have one more internet response that we got to get to before we do top
Okay.
Let's
5
do
real
it.
quick. Then we'll get to
First of all, we
got
got. Are there any black Baker Bros?
Good question.
Oh my God, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not many.
Yeah.
I've met like
But they hang
one
out
guy.
with Chad.
There's
They
some-
hang out
there's
with Chad.
some-
Can I make
There's
an
some-
observation? I think it's
Yeah.
very dangerous to do what you're doing.
Oh, I'm just having fun.
Let's
Okay. But let's not have fun with race.
I'll general.
We got to be able to talk about.
Here's the reason I say that.
Yeah.
Everything in society has become race.
Yes. Well, race
The one thing
factors
that I've
in.
always been proud of athletes and fans about, and I find this to be true. I've seen plenty of brothers stand on both feet and put their hands to their mouth and scream for the white guy that's bringing them victories. I've seen plenty of white guys that stand on their feet and cheer for black guys that are leading their
Of
team to
course,
victories.
nobody's saying everything is
Right.
racially involved, but didn't the Tim
Let's
Couch
ask- wait,
didn't
let's
the
ask
Tim
Debo.
Couch and Achilles Smith debate have something to do with race? Of course it did.
Well, yeah,
Back in the
certain
day.
things absolutely do, but I never thought race fit into this. I
And-
didn't. I think people were trying to pry
I
it
think
in
it
there.
factors in.
Am I wrong, G. Bush? Hold on.
And traditionally, I think it's easier to do it with the quarterback position because there is a race component in traditional standards where black quarterbacks weren't obviously
Well, we're
given a
over
chance.
that, aren't we? I mean, we're way beyond that.
It's getting better. Now, here's the thing. If you look at some of the top quarterbacks, they happen to be African-American. Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, Dak Prescott, we keep Deshaun Watson. We keep going on. There's a lot of great black quarterbacks in the league.
Absolutely.
I think Baker Mayfield is it's just like saying, is there any black Trump fans, right? No, there are. His personality lends itself to people. Like it's charismatic.
certain brand of people.
Yeah, he's
Yeah,
charismatic.
charisma's charisma,
He's
and it doesn't know
charismatic.
race.
There's guys I used to argue with all the time. DJ Hazmat, he was on the first barbershop show.
I love DJ.
He stood on top of the table like, G. Bush, I cannot believe it. Pittsburgh, we beat the Steelers. I'm doing my thing, and all of a sudden he gone. Like he just whoop poof gone. There are a lot of people. There are a lot of brothers who really do support him. It's just I think it's the brand in which he brands himself that lends it. It's women that support him, black people, white
You know
people,
what?
old people. They love him.
I know one of my black friends that's a diehard Baker. Here's what he said, and he liked him when he was at Oklahoma, which I did not. When he was at Oklahoma, he was a punk.
Sure.
To me.
Yeah.
Because he took the Oklahoma flag and stuck it in the Block O in Columbus.
I actually thought that was funny.
So did my buddy, who said, that's why I like him.
Yeah.
And you bring swag to the party.
Yeah, he's
And that
unapologetic.
changes the equation. And the one thing that Baker Mayfield, rightly or wrongly, brings with him everywhere he goes is swag.
Yeah.
And it's a huge component to a locker room. There were a lot of blacks in the locker room who said, that's my dude right there. He ain't backing down from anybody. And I think that speaks culturally to that.
See?
He's
We
a
just had a
good
reasonable
establishment.
conversation about race. There's nothing
Nobody
wrong
got
with it.
hurt.
Right. Okay.